Well, hey everyone. Welcome back to Stuff We Can Do in Excel. I'm Richard, and today we're going to talk about a tool that's built into Excel called GoalSeek. Now, it's going to be found up here on your Data tab. You see my Data tab under the What If category under your forecasting tools. And when you click on that, you're going to bring down one of the options you're going to have is GoalSeek. And that's what we're going to be using today. GoalSeek is a great tool for answering the question, what if this number changes, what would that number do? What if I wanted to have this result, what would this number have to change to give me that result? So it's a great tool. Let's go see how it works. So I'm going to start with a really simple example, and this is much simpler than probably you would ever actually see in your actual work, but it's just to demonstrate how GoalSeek might work. So if I'm sitting here and this is my information, I've got 37,500 units that I want to sell. I've got $50 is my unit price. $18.50 is my variable cost per unit, and my fixed costs are $736,000. I'm expecting that this scenario will generate for me $445,250. Now, how do I know that? Well, if we did let's say we do an income statement here, and my sales revenue would be my number of units times the sales price. My cost of goods sold is going to be my number of units times my variable cost per unit. That's going to give me a contribution margin, which is the difference between those two units, right? By the way, I'm going to format all this as dollars. So let's go up here and format all of this to a general, format it to accounting, and we're just going to do no decimal points. So then I subtract my fixed cost, right? And that fixed cost is $736,000, which makes my profit or net income going to be equal to the gross margin or contribution margin minus my fixed cost, which is $445,250. You see how I got that? Now, if I wanted to know what my break even is, what if I wanted to know how do I get this to zero? Well, one way we could do this, and I'm going to change that particular cell back to a general column. One way we could do this is simply take our fixed cost and divide it by our contribution margin per unit, which is the contribution margin per unit is $50 sales price minus $18.50 variable cost per unit. That's $31.50. So I can simply say equals my fixed cost divided by my variable cost per unit, or my contribution margin per unit. And I get here, it's going to tell me, and I don't want that to be dollar, I want it to be general. So it tells me I'm going to sell about 23,365 units in order to break even. Well, there's a tool we can use. This tool we can use under data called GoalSeek helps us to get to this number a little easier and makes things, we can do different scenarios much quicker than we can using this particular formula. So I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to say my break-even units. And again, I'm going to change that to the general format. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go up here to my data. I'm going to click on What If Analysis and click on GoalSeek. And it's going to open for me a window. Okay, so I want to set my expected profit to 0. See what I've done there? I identified the target I want to adjust, I want to manipulate, I want to set it to 0, and I'm going to change this cell up here. And when I do that, okay, it's going to suddenly give me the number I'm looking for. It's going to tell me right over here, 23,365. See how easily I got that? But I can not only do it for that, I can do it for a lot of different things. What if I instead wanted to say, well, what if I need just $100,000 profit? Well, I can go back to my What If, GoalSeek. I can say I want to set this to 100,000 now, and I want to manipulate my sales price. Whoops, my sales units. Again, I hit OK, and it's going to pop up. Okay, that's 100,000 dollars, it requires 26,539 units of sales. I can do other things for this. So, for example, I might decide to say that I want to see what would happen if I've got this, but what do I have to do to break even with my sales price? Okay, let's say I know I can sell 25,000 units. I know I've got a contract to sell 25,000 units. What sales price do I need to charge in order to break even? Okay, that's a different question. So I go to my scenario manager. I'm going to do goal seek. I'm going to want this cell to be 0, and I'm going to manipulate my sales price. Let's see what happens. It tells me I need to be charging $47.94 a unit. At that cost structure and those fixed costs, I need to be charging $47.94 a unit if I'm going to sell 25,000 units in order to break even. Okay. What if I need to make $25,000 profit? Again, I can manipulate that. I can say, or let's say I'm going to charge $50 for these units, and I want to know what do I have to get my costs down to get $100,000 profit. Well, let's just do that again. Goal seek. I'm going to make this cell right here. I'm going to make that be $100,000 profit, and I want to manipulate my variable cost per unit. When I say that, it's going to tell me to get to $100,000 in income, I got to get that cost down to $16.56 a unit. So that's a really useful tool to us to try to manipulate numbers to see what would happen in different situations and what we would have to do in order to get our numbers to where they need to be. So next one I want to look at is a situation a little bit more complicated. In this situation, we've got somebody who's got some grades for the semester, and we're going to use goal seek to try to figure out what they need to get on the final exam in order to achieve an A, B, C, or D for the class. So, and again, we're going to use the goal seek for this. So I'm going to say, and it doesn't matter where the cursor is, by the way. We're going to say we want the what if analysis. We're going to say goal seek. We want to know. We want to set this cell has got to be 540 points to get an A, and we want to do it by changing this cell right here. What do we have to get in this cell to achieve 540 points? So we said, okay, it's going to tell us we have to get 152 out of 150. So mathematically, that's not really possible, is it? So what if, and said, okay, let's do, instead of trying to get an A, what if we get a B? So again, we're going to set our total points now to a B, which is, you can see down here is 480 points. So that'll be 480 points. And again, we're going to manipulate our cell D8. And when I do that, it's going to tell me I need a 92 out of 150, and that'll get me 480 points and get me a B for the course. So that's a really useful tool for us. That allows us to, and it tells us that's actually exactly 80%. So that's a nice little way that we can manipulate some of these numbers. Now, another thing we can do, let's say that what we know is that I haven't taken the final exam yet, and let's say this person missed exam 2. And the rules say that if you miss exam 2, or miss an exam, the weight of that exam, which was 100 points, it now adds to the final. Get to 250 points. So if they had the points there, they didn't have exam 2, we'd add those points down to the final. Makes the final with 250 points out of 600, or 41.67%. Now we figure, what do they have to get on the final exam? Can they get an A for the course if they've already missed exam 1 and now exam 2 is going to count 250 points? Well, we'll just use goal seek for that. We'll do goal seek. We say we're going to manipulate this cell right here, D8. We want that to be, or excuse me, D10. We want that score to be 540 points, and we're going to manipulate cell D8, which is our final exam score. When I do that, it's interesting. I find out with a 93% or 233 out of 250 points, only a 93%, this person can get their grade up to an A for the semester. So it's a great way to figure out what do you need to do in order to achieve your goal. That's what GoalSeek tells you. So we're going to look at one more example, and this one's a little bit more complicated. We're going to look at this hypothetical data for a proposed program. And this proposed program is got 3 years worth of projections in it, and we're going to try to figure out how many students we have to have in order to break even. Right now, in the first year, we had 12 students, and it's going to tell us we're going to lose $56,500 on this new academic program. So we want to find out what do we need to do in order to get this profit in year 2. We won't just don't want to break even in year 2. We would like to get to $56,500. And in fact, maybe in year 2 we do just want to break even in year 2, recover all of our losses, and by the end of year 3, we're even across the board for all 3 years. So we do a goal seek first. First, we do a goal seek where we will say that what we want to manipulate is this target right here. We want that to be 0 in year 2. We want to break even in year 2. And we want to manipulate that by manipulating the number of students up here in cell C4. So when we do that, it tells us that in order to get a 0 profit, we need to have another 12 students, because some of the costs have changed in year 2. So we're going to get a little bit more revenue. We're going to get tuition is going to be a little bit higher in year 2. So in year 2, 12 students will again get us this, but remember, we still have this $56,500 over here. So we're going to do another goal seek, and that next goal seek will deal with cell D35. We want it to be whatever this. We want this to be the negative of whatever this was over here. In other words, we want this to be $56,500. That's our goal. That would balance us out for the whole period. And we're going to put a number of students up here, figure out what that's going to, how many students we have to have in order to wipe out the loss from year 1 in year 3. And we hit OK, and it's going to tell us that we need 14 students in year 2 to get us to a break even for the 3-year period. We lost some in year 1, we broke even in year 2, we recovered our losses, all of our losses in year 3. So again, another way to use GoalSeek to try to help us to find solutions to goals, to what we need to do. What's our goal need to be as far as recruiting students for this program if we want to break even over the 3-year period. So hopefully this is a helpful tool to you and you'll be able to use it in the future. We'll see you soon.